The 5th day of the Traitors is here, and we're not yet past the halfway point and people are already struggling in the castle. After a very stressful banishment and another faithful lost, the faithful team doesn't know what to do to figure out the traitors anymore, and some people are losing hope. Regardless, another day must go on, and last night, the traitors discussed between 5 possible kills, those being Colleen, Gabby, Franco, Fee, and Devin. However, with Theo abandoning his idea to kill Colleen to get the team to agree on a name, who did he agree to kill off? We'll find out at the breakfast, so let's get to it now. It all starts with Gianna entering the room first, so she gladly sits down and awaits the next person to walk in. In confessional, Gianna feels like she hasn't been able to get her way these past few rounds. Of course, things are working out for the traitors right now, but she has to think long-term. Gabby and Franco are a problem for her individual game, so she needs to make sure both of them go home. Back in the room, Holly walks in and Gianna smiles and says good morning to her. Holly is glad to see Gianna as well and sits down. She asks Gianna how she feels about Franco's big mistake last night gunning for Parker, and Gianna breathes out and says that she feels like people are just following whatever him and Gabby say. It's apparent they are close, and people trust them, almost a little too much. Holly asks her if she thinks they could be traitors, and Gianna says she doesn't feel confident anymore about Gabby's role. She is loved by so many people, but she has been pretty big in these votes and got people to vote certain ways that were incorrect. In confessional, Holly doesn't know who it could be at this stage. It really could be anyone, so maybe Gianna is right about Gabby. However, it seems like a long shot at the moment. It might be better to go for someone else that has been discussed as a target before. Back in the room, Brandon comes in next, happy to see Gianna and Holly alive. Holly says that she really thinks they are the true faithful, and she also ropes in Theo and Russell. Morel then walks into the room, followed by Colleen, and then Mari, who shows off her shield to everyone, joking around that nobody had a clue she had it. In confessional, Mari says that today is yet another day where people will accuse her, but she's used to it at this point. She won't change up her strategy. She'll continue being herself because clearly, it's working to some degree. Back in the room, Janine comes in next, sitting down next to Mari, who is disgusted that she's forced to sit next to her. Franco then comes in next, happy to see everyone here. In confessional, Franco admits he's nervous going into today's banishment because he made a massive blunder with his accusation against Parker. He was dead wrong, giving every reason for the faithful to go after him. He just needs to hope people still feel good with him. It's the best he can do right now without coming off suspicious. Russell walks in next, throwing up his hands that he's alive. Liam comes in a bit later, and Fee walks in shortly after. Winston walks into the breakfast room next, and reveals to everyone he had the shield. Everyone congratulates him, though it seems it didn't do much since there are still people missing. Gabby walks into the room next with a smile on her face, and many people are happy to see her still alive. In confessional, Gabby says that yesterday changed a lot within the castle. People are now more aware of what's going on. The traitors are playing everyone, so everyone, including herself, need a new strategy. Unfortunately for Winston, his strategy of not changing strategies won't work out. Gabby then asks the group who hasn't entered yet, and Janine says it's between Minnie Marie, Clara, Devin, Theo, and Krista. Morel says she wouldn't be surprised if it's Clara because she brought up some great points last night at the banishment room. However, Clara walks in next, making Morel's theory wrong. Holly breathes out, hoping Theo didn't die. Gianna says the same. Krista walks in next, saying good morning to everyone and also wishing her 13-year-old a happy birthday, despite not being there with him. Everyone wishes him a nice happy birthday, and in confessional, Krista says that she hopes she's not a horrible mother for coming out here during a time where it's her son's birthday. She still says happy birthday though to her son, Oliver. Back in the room, everyone hears footsteps at the door, so they watch as Theo walks in, and he holds out his shield for everyone to see. They all clap for him, and Holly is relieved. In confessional, Theo claims that last night was a big one. The traitor team was a bit spread out with who they wanted killed. So, in order to keep everyone together, he had to sacrifice his own idea of murdering Colleen and jumped onto another plan. It's still a good murder, but not one that works for him the most. Back in the room, everyone awaits for the final arrival of either Devin or Minnie Marie. Mari hopes Minnie Marie is doing alright. She struggled a lot last night. Franco finds it crazy that Devin and Minnie Marie are the last two remaining, considering what happened last night. In confessional, Brandon says that at this point, he's starting to worry that maybe Devin isn't really dead. The traitors picked him last night, but Minnie Marie also struggled emotionally quite a bit, so it's possible something happened to her, causing her to leave the game. It's just paranoia for him though. Back in the room, everyone waits minute by minute, and finally, they hear footsteps by the door. They watch the door slowly open, and they see Minnie Marie walk in. They are all happy to see her seemingly doing well, and she sits down. This confirms to everyone Devin was murdered, and Krista states that Devin will be missed. In a flashback, Devin enters the confessional room and finds out he was the one murdered. He doesn't mind it though because this game is really tough to play. He didn't really know what to do after losing Neymar. The game just became way too serious for him. He made his impact though. Getting rid of Sebastian for being unloyal is something he is proud of, and he hopes Neymar is proud too. With Devin's murder confirmed and Minnie Marie's mental health being fine, the players are allowed to roam the castle for the next round of chats. In one of the rooms, Fee, Janine, Franco, Krista, Colleen, and Mari are all together, talking about next steps for the faithful team. Krista says that she's starting to think about previous rounds and what people have said before heading out. Colleen notes that Archer did accuse Theo once, but so did Minnie Marie and she's still alive. She asks if anyone thinks Theo could secretly be a traitor, and Krista says she wouldn't be surprised if he is one. Fee, however, says no, and says Theo is one of the people he is sure is innocent. Janine then asks Fee to enlighten them with another name, and Fee says that he's honestly thinking it's someone in this room, but he doesn't want to say the name right now. Krista squints and Janine then says he's referring to her since he hasn't liked her since day one. Fee shows a zipped mouth motion, refusing to speak on it. In confessional, Janine says that Fee genuinely annoys the hell out of her, but she said she would block out emotions and focus on game. Fee is not a traitor. Not in a million years. It's just annoying having him around because he acts like a mosquito. Back in the room, Mari says that she personally is starting to think it could be Morel because she has gone a bit quiet ever since she was accused. Janine also finds Morel suspicious because ever since they made up, Morel hasn't been as loud anymore. She played hard at first, but then stopped. Franco says he doesn't have an opinion because he was dead wrong at the Parker vote, so he may as well not influence any more votes for a while. Meanwhile outside, another group is formed, and Gianna uses this as her chance to push for Gabby as the target. Gianna tells the group that she's sick and tired of voting wrong. She wants to change that starting tonight, and she honestly wants to hear what people think about Gabby being a traitor. A few people are shocked to hear that suggestion, and Holly backs up Gianna, stating that Gabby would make a perfect traitor. Everyone loves her so much, but there's not really a reason for it. Liam doesn't think she's a traitor though, claiming that he'd much rather just go for someone they've suspected since day one, and that's Mari. In confessional, Liam says that he doesn't want to vote Gabby because he actually trusts her as a faithful quite a lot. She always checks in with him and is one of the only people who communicates information with him. Back with the group, Gianna asks for any other opinions, and Theo says that he is really close to Gabby, and she just doesn't give traitor vibes to him. Gianna bites her mouth, and in her confessional, she's a bit pissed off with Theo because he's not backing her up with this Gabby plan. It seems he's playing a selfish game, not thinking of his team. For those reasons, she will continue pushing for Gabby to go, and that will lose a number on Theo's side. Morel says that she actually wouldn't be opposed going for Gabby tonight, but of course, she wants to hear from her first. She just wants to know why people trusted Gabby so much to begin with, so once she hears the reason, she'll vote based on that. In confessional, Theo knows what Gianna is doing. She's trying to remove one of his numbers, but he will not let it happen. He can easily flip the script on Gianna and get rid of her, so she needs to watch out. She's showing where she's at with him, and so he's ready to fight back. Back inside, there's a conversation going on between Fee, Franco, Brandon, Minnie Marie, Mari, and Gabby, and with Gabby still unaware she's a target for tonight, she tells the group that she's struggling to figure out who it is. Perhaps they need to look at people they would never expect to be a traitor. Or, maybe Winston's theory is right and they should just go for Morel instead. Fee says Janine's name though because he is starting to believe that Janine perhaps killed Peggy to make herself look faithful, and then when people talked about that possibility, she made sure Archer would die to have the same effect with Krista and Mari, just a bit different since Archer said their names as traitors. Mari thinks this theory has some merit to it. She always had Janine on her radar, but nobody would listen to her. Brandon tells Mari that they never excuse the idea. She just needs to relax sometimes. Her pushing Janine so much put a target on her own back. Mari sighs, and in confessional, Brandon says that he's trying to build a lot more trust with Mari right now because she doesn't have many people to trust. If she can rely on him, that's an extra number for him going forward. He does want her to get far, but if she continues going mental in here, she'll get herself voted out. Back with the group, Gabby thinks this vote will be between Morel and Janine in that case, but she's personally leaning more towards Morel. Things are just really weird about her lately. Franco agrees with Gabby and says she has his own full support, just like how she supported him last night. With names being spread around, Liam finds Gabby alone in the hallway and quickly pulls her aside. In confessional, Liam says that he heard Gabby's name quite a lot all of a sudden, but because she has always looked out for him, he's going to warn her about this move against her. Liam tells Gabby that he's feeling worried for her. She asks why, really confused. Liam tells her that Gianna is starting to throw her name out there, and Gabby's jaw drops. In confessional, Gabby is flabbergasted that Gianna of all people threw her name out. She thought her and Gianna were cool. In fact, she never saw her as a traitor suspect. But hearing how she's throwing her name out behind her back is starting to concern her. Gabby tells Liam that she's so confused why Gianna would do that, and Liam shrugs and says he's really unsure. All Gianna said was that Gabby has been trusted by so many people for no apparent reason, so people now want to know why she has been trusted so easily. Gabby is still really confused, and she starts to lean on the wall, unsure what to do because this is the first time she has been accused. Liam tells her not to worry so much. He will support her tonight, and Gabby thanks him. He asks her if they need to vote for Gianna in that case, but Gabby says no. It'll be too suspicious to deflect so quickly. Instead, they just need to push for Morel or Janine to go. It depends who gets more heat tonight. Enough time has passed today, and we now need to get to the next fateful crown ceremony. Everyone sits upstairs on the benches and find out that they will be going back to usual with no twists involved. Whoever wants to nominate themselves for the shield will need to stand up. They will not vote at tonight's banishment, but they might get themselves a shield based on who everyone else votes for. In confessional, Gabby says that she initially wanted to nominate herself for the shield, but after hearing what Gianna is doing against her, she needs to keep her vote. Back with the group, Gabby mouths to Franco not to stand up because she needs his vote. She'll tell him later what happened, but she's in danger tonight. Franco quickly nods in response. In another confessional with Gianna, she says that today might see less volunteers than usual because this vote will be a crucial one. She hopes Gabby and Franco volunteer for the shield so their votes are removed. Gabby most definitely will volunteer. Back with the group, everyone is asked to stand if they would like to nominate themselves for the shield, and Mari is the only one who stands up. She's shocked that nobody else stood up, claiming that she only stood up because she didn't want to vote tonight as people don't trust her to begin with. In Janine's confessional, she's absolutely disgusted right now that Mari automatically won the shield. This girl gets everything at this point. This is her third shield, and it's starting to piss her off. With Mari now confirmed to have the shield, people still clap for her, and she tells them they don't need to clap because nobody really likes her here anyway. They're gonna vote her out anyway. Brandon then tells Mari to stop, telling her that she's doing way too much right now. Mari apologizes and says she'll shut up. In confessional, Holly says that there's currently this plan to out Gabby as a possible traitor at tonight's banishment, but the fact that she didn't stand up for the shield today makes her think that someone tipped off Gabby, and she wouldn't be surprised if Liam or Theo did, as they were Gabby's biggest offenders. After the faithful crown ceremony ends, everyone is allowed to roam around for the rest of the evening before the banishment begins. Franco, Theo, Clara, and Colleen are all in a room. Franco immediately asks in a concerned voice if anyone has heard Gabby's name, and Theo says yes. He spills everything Gianna said earlier, how she thought Gabby is a traitor because people trusted her for no apparent reason. However, the reasoning barely made sense, and he's not on board with it. Franco says there's no way in hell he's voting Gabby. In confessional, Franco is very pissed and concerned now. He feels like this target on Gabby is because of his move last night against Parker. He also never expected Gianna to be the one behind this, which hurts even more. Clara then asks who they suspect then, and Theo says that he would honestly just go for Janine or Morel tonight. They are the only other people he has heard as possible traitors. Colleen also adds Mari's name to the mix, claiming that Mari has always been in consideration and it will likely never stop. Theo says Mari is not as worrying as someone like Morel. Franco agrees and thinks Morel is the move tonight, so Clara and Colleen agree to vote for her. Meanwhile, Minnie Marie and Russell chat outside about this new Gabby plan that arose after Russell just filled her in on it. Minnie Marie really doesn't know at this point because they've been wrong every time. Literally anyone could be a traitor. In confessional, Russell says he's starting to really believe that Gabby is a traitor. Holly is all for this vote, but Theo isn't, and that's someone he trusts a lot as well. It's like brother and sister going at it, and now he himself is the middle child that has to pick a side. Russell tells Minnie Marie that Gabby is really close with so many people, and if she's a traitor, she'll be impossible to take out in the future. Minnie Marie still doesn't know what to think and tells Russell she'll just vote however he votes because she doesn't want to screw anything up herself. Later on, Gianna talks with Winston, filling him in on this bold plan to vote out Gabby. Winston grunts, not happy with this idea. He's still not done with Mari as it's clear to him that she's the most likely to be a traitor right now. It's weird to him how nobody is considering to vote her out. But Gianna tells him to stop thinking Mari just this one time. People are already thinking Gabby's name tonight, and she wants to fill him in so he's not out of the loop. Winston is just confused why, and Gianna tells him it's because she has a whole force around her which protects her from being accused. It's worrying because she really could be a traitor disguised as a faithful, and nobody will know unless she gets heat tonight. In confessional, Winston is very much against any plan that isn't Mari right now, but if Gianna is right about her theory, maybe it is time to take a shot at Gabby. It's just a very risky plan and he'd rather give her a chance to defend herself at the round table. Winston tells Gianna he'll think on this and will wait for the round table to hear Gabby out, so Gianna tells him okay and splits off from him. The time for chats around the castle is now over, so it's time for the players to enter the banishment room and prepare for the round table discussion. With everyone seated, everyone waits for the first person to speak up. Mari begins, telling everyone that she apologizes for standing up for the shield today. However, she thinks this is good for the team because people don't trust her with a vote anyway, so she wanted to step out of it tonight. Holly then moves on from that and says she'd like to bring up a certain name because it's only fair for them to have the chance to defend themselves. She specifically would like to hear from Gabby because her name came up today, and people are wondering why she is so trusted in this castle. Gabby gives Holly a confused look, telling her that if anything, she should ask the people who trust her. She can't give a definitive answer to that question if she's not the minds of her trusting friends. Theo then speaks up, claiming that Gabby is trustworthy in his eyes because they had many private conversations, and he feels this deeper connection with her over anyone else. Because of that deeper connection, he's more likely to trust her over some other people. Gianna then asks him what if Gabby is actually a traitor. In that case, wouldn't he just be denying an actual truth? Theo squints and says he can say the same thing about anyone she's close with. Gianna says that she doesn't have the same mindset as him because she doesn't have someone she 100% trusts. Sure, she has chats with certain people more than others, but she isn't fully committed to anyone in this game unlike him. Gabby then speaks up, wanting to further defend herself. She thinks there's a bit of confusion because the faithful have gotten the last 3 votes wrong. People are hungry for the right move, and now people are looking at bizarre ideas, which is now faulting her because she turns out to be one of the most trusted in here. Liam agrees and says that it's not fair to push for Gabby just because people really trust her. This whole game is about finding out the traitors. Why would they go after the most faithful here? Morel then says that sometimes, you need to change up your strategy. Tonight is that night, so people are looking at the person who actually has the most sway in this castle. Gabby might just be leading people into the wrong direction on purpose, and there are many people blind to that fact. Franco shakes his head and accuses Morel of being a possible traitor. She was actually accused on day 1, and people left her alone for a while. She changed her own behavior once things calmed down. She's much more reserved. Morel then asks if she didn't just push for Gabby just now, and Franco shrugs and stays quiet. Morel says that she hasn't changed actually. She's still playing this game like she did on day 1. Sometimes, there will be changes in her attitude if people treat her differently. People haven't dogged on like on day 1, so of course she's acting differently now. Russell breathes out, wanting to speak next. He's really unsure what to do tonight because he will be very, and he means it when he says very, disappointed, if Gabby is voted out tonight and she's faithful. He will not be able to live with himself if he took away her life in this game as one of the most faithful. He apologizes to Morel and says that she's more guilty than Gabby at the moment, so he wouldn't feel the same way voting her out. Morel then tells Russell that it's important to look at this game from a strategic position, rather than an emotional position. Keeping Gabby right now is more of an emotional move for people. It makes sense to test if she's really faithful or not. Sometimes, you have to be a savage in this game, and of course voting out Gabby is savage, but it has to be done. Gabby breathes out, very anxious now, and she begs everyone to please keep her. She doesn't want her journey to end for reasons out of her control. She feels like she did everything right as a faithful and people are stealing her chance at making it far into this game. Minnie Marie looks down and breathes in and out to control her emotions, and Franco notices, telling her to please vote Morel. Winston then speaks up to mention that other names were talked about before this banishment, but it seems it's not as relevant anymore because it really is just between Gabby and Morel. He'd still like to mention that Janine and Mari are still top suspects for him and other people, but it seems that doesn't matter for at least tonight. Janine shrugs and says she doesn't know how else to defend herself. She's being her real self and doesn't know how to prove it to a bunch of strangers. The time for talk is now over, and everyone is asked to write a name down on their slates. Gabby begins to shake in fear, and Morel keeps a straight face the whole time. All 16 votes are now locked in, and it's time to reveal them one at a time, starting with Morel tonight. Morel shows that she voted for Gabby tonight for reasons already stated before. Plus, it's either one of them going tonight anyway, so she'd rather it be Gabby. Brandon is next, and he says that this vote kills him so much, but he needs to separate his emotions from this game. Therefore, Gabby is getting his vote tonight. Janine is asked to go next, and she happily says she voted Morel. She has always been on her suspect list, so now is a great time to write her name down. Liam goes next, and he shows his vote for Morel as well, claiming that he's not convinced it's Gabby. Morel has been suspicious since day one, so he feels more confident in her being a traitor. Holly is next to reveal her vote, and she says she sadly did Gabby tonight. There's something in her gut telling her that the traitors are people they would never expect, and that someone is Gabby. Gabby goes next, showing her vote for Morel. For obvious reasons. Franco is next, and he also shows his vote for Morel, saying that there's just no way Gabby is the traitor. We're now at a vote count of 4 votes Morel, and 3 votes for Gabby. Minnie Marie is asked to go next, and she breathes out, stating that she can't get herself to steal Gabby's dream, so she unfortunately voted Morel because it just makes more sense in her mind that it's her right now. That's 5 for Morel now, and 3 for Gabby. Theo is next, and he says he will always stand for what's right in this game. He will never betray someone if he doesn't have proper reasons to. Therefore, Morel has got his vote tonight. Winston is asked to go next, and he looks at Gabby, apologizing to her since he has decided to vote her. It was a tough decision for him, but this is a leap of faith he has to take right now since the faithful team is getting nowhere. That's now 6 votes Morel, 4 votes Gabby. 6 votes remain, and Clara is up next. She says she's sorry, but she decided to vote Gabby because she too is willing to take a big risk tonight. If it's not her, she deeply apologizes. Gabby begins to cry, and then Fee is up next. Fee says that he's not sure who to even vote tonight, so he just went with the most obvious in his eyes, which is Mari. That means we're at 6 votes Morel, 5 votes Gabby, 1 vote Mari, and just 4 votes remain. Colleen is next, and she calls this vote very last minute for her. She was flipping between both people, but she just doesn't trust Morel, so she has her vote tonight. If Morel now gets 1 more vote, she is going home. Gianna is up next, and she apologizes to Gabby for pushing out her name tonight, but she is someone the group needs to test by voting out. They need to really change their strategy so they can really see if the faithful have been manipulated all season or not. Russell goes next, and he shakes his head, saying that he quite honestly might regret this decision. His vote is for Gabby. He doesn't say anything else. That means we have 7 votes for Morel, 7 votes for Gabby, 1 vote for Mari, and just 1 vote remaining. Whoever Krista has voted for will be banished, unless it's someone other than Morel or Gabby. In the case of a tie, we will re-vote between the 2 tied players. Krista is asked to reveal who she voted for. She sighs and says that she really loves everyone in this game at the end of the day, and she's just forced to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Sometimes, you need to be cutthroat, and unfortunately, she has no choice but to experiment by voting Gabby. It's now official. Gabby is the next player banished, so she is asked to head to the front to reveal her role. Many people are in complete shock and disappointment, and Gabby composes herself so she can get up and head to the front. Minnie Marie covers her face and Theo shakes his head as he stares at Gianna. Everyone then looks up at Gabby as she stands at the head of the room. She thanks everyone for being with her on this crazy journey. She really enjoyed every moment and doesn't regret a single thing. She won't take any of this personally and she wishes her team the best of luck moving forward. She reveals that she is a faithful, and everyone reacts negatively, pissed they got it wrong again. Many people begin to cry, and Morel sits awkwardly, unsure how to even react now. Gianna covers her face and repeats how sorry she is over and over again. Gabby then waves goodbye and heads out, and Franco remains very quiet in his seat, unable to look at anyone. Theo then tells everyone that people will pay for what they just did to Gabby. They just proved themselves wrong. A lot of people remain silent, still processing what just happened. In confessional, Franco remains quiet for a while. He is speechless because these people decided to take out the most faithful person, and their little dumb theory ended up dead wrong. He continuously shakes his head in anger, and says that he is extremely upset that they have gotten every single vote wrong. It's becoming a hellish environment for him now. Back in the room, Gianna continues to cover her face, acting very upset with herself. In confessional, she looks awkwardly around the confessional room, and then says she just pulled off one of the biggest moves so far. She just removed one of Theo's key numbers in this game, and he will be extremely pissed about it, but she has no regrets. If Theo really is a team player, he will easily move on from this move. But knowing him, he probably won't get over it, so she'll just need to step around him very carefully. After Gabby's exit, everyone is forced to leave the banishment room and spend a little more time around the castle before bed, and Winston, Clara, and Minnie Marie sit in the same room, still processing the previous vote. In confessional, Winston feels deep regret for voting Gabby out now. He just couldn't be sure and had to take that risk, and it failed for him. He should have just voted Morel and gone from there. Back in the room, Clara says that they really couldn't have known for sure if she was a traitor or not. They just had to test things out because if she really was one, that would open this game up so much. The most trusting players would become the biggest targets. But that's not the case anymore. Clearly. Minnie Marie says that she almost did vote Gabby, so she still feels slightly guilty. Clara reminds the two that this is a game in the end, so they have to endure the pain they are feeling right now. There will be tough moments for them in this game, and this is one of them. In a different room, Krista, Gianna, Morel, and Holly are together, unsure how to even approach most of the Gabby supporters. Gianna says that they really couldn't have known for sure she was faithful. They had to take that risk. Krista tells Gianna not to feel super hard on herself. They all made this decision in the end, so they will all take responsibility for it. In confessional, Holly says that even though Gabby is a faithful, it at least removes a very influential player who had her own puppets, whether she believed it or not. Franco, Liam, and Theo now have to play this game differently because they don't have that close connection with Gabby. Hopefully this means Theo will trust her and Russell more because there was a moment she felt lost with him. Back in the room, Liam and Franco walk in, and Franco crosses his arms, asking all four of them what the hell they were thinking. Krista apologizes to Franco but tells him it's not fair for him to be this upset over a game decision. Franco tells Krista he doesn't care. They just stole Gabby's dream carelessly. She worked so hard to get her faithful status, and now she's gone home. Morel then tells Franco she would have been murdered soon anyway because of how faithful she was, and Franco's eyes immediately widen. He then points out that she just said Gabby would die soon anyway, implying she would do the work. He thinks she just slipped up, but Morel looks confused, asking for what she specifically said wrong. Franco repeats that she said Gabby would die soon anyway, but only a traitor would imply that. Morel says no because she's using generic logic. The traitors want to kill off anyone who will be impossible to banish anytime soon. They literally did it with Devin. In confessional, Morel sighs because Franco is twisting her words out of context now. He literally won't back off of her at this point because he's a very emotional player. It's hard right now because Franco can't be this good to be a traitor, so she's unsure what to even do tomorrow. She just needs to hope people have her back so she doesn't have to deflect the blame onto Franco. They really need to find the actual traitors tomorrow. Back in the room, Franco adds that he's very disappointed in Krista because she voted out someone who acted as a daughter, looking up at her and saying that one day, she would love to have kids of her own. Krista tells Franco to stop guilt-tripping her because it's not fair. Franco tells the four that they are all disgusting, and he will never trust them in this game again. He storms out of the room, and Liam stands there quietly with the other four women. In confessional, Krista feels very exhausted after tonight. Her head hurts because now she has to manage her relationship with Franco, which has now been ruined. There's just a lot going on for her, but at least she has Gianna. They can help each other since Theo is probably going to be no help, and Brandon is not as vulnerable to where he won't damage his own position to save them. With it now being time for the players to head to bed, people say goodnight to each other and begin making their way upstairs to their individual bedrooms. Before Franco and Theo leave, Franco tells Theo he will always look after him and Liam going forward. He hugs him and says goodnight, and Theo wishes him the best tonight. In confessional, Theo says that he's feeling ready going into tonight's traitor meeting. He won't go easy on Krista and Gianna. They will simply have to go with whichever murder he would like to pull off. He won't budge. He's not letting them get their way again, for probably the 4th time now. It's time for the 5th traitor meeting of the season, and all 4 traitors walk into the room with their hoodies on. They stand around the room and then unveil their hoodies. Nobody looks happy in the slightest, so Brandon asks if anyone wants to air anything out right now. Theo shakes his head and says he'd rather not talk about it. Gianna tells Theo that he has to realize how much of a threat Gabby was for their team. He never wanted to murder him because he had a strong personal connection. Theo interrupts Gianna and tells her he really doesn't want to get into it. He told them he had Gabby wrapped around his finger and she never suspected any of them, but now they prove to him that they don't trust him, so he won't be able to put his neck out for them again. Krista looks at Gianna and shakes her head, so Gianna doesn't continue on and instead asks who they will murder. Theo straight up says that Clara has to go. He won't consider anyone else. Just Clara. If they refuse, they can go to a random draw. Gianna and Krista stand quietly, and Brandon then says he's fine with Clara, and he believes the women will be fine too because Clara has been a target for them for a few days now. However, the room is interrupted as the 4 traitors are told that tonight will be a bit different. All 4 are stunned and are told that instead of a murder tonight, they must select 5 people to put on death row. They can pick anyone, including themselves. If they pick someone who has a shield, that person will not be put on death row, meaning that will leave 4 people on death row instead of 5. The traitors are allowed to pick themselves, but that's up to them. Whoever the 5 players on death row are will be the only players able to get murdered the following night. With that, the decision is now placed in their hands. Right away, Brandon says that they have to be very careful because he assumes one of the people they pick will be given a shield tomorrow. Theo says that there's no doubt that at least one of them get chosen because if they can get the shield, they won't need to worry about no murders tomorrow. He says he's volunteer himself, but in that case, he also wants a favor from Gianna and Krista. He wants one of them to join him if he does this. It'll mend things between because it'll show they are here for the team, just like him. Gianna and Krista look at each other, and Gianna says she'll do it in that case. She has more heat on her than Krista right now after pushing Gabby so hard, so she won't be suspected for being alive after tomorrow. Theo also adds that he would like their votes at the faithful crown ceremony for obvious reasons. Again, they need him to get the shield so they can control who gets murdered without any worries. Krista promises, and so does Brandon. Theo then continues to talk about their other choices since they need 3 more. Clara is a lock, and the other 3 agree. He says that the worst-case scenario is that she gets the shield tomorrow, so they really need him to get it instead. Gianna agrees and then says that she'd also be fine with Fee getting chosen since he's another person considered very faithful. Nobody contests against this, meaning they need one more choice. They have Theo, Gianna, Clara, and Fee chosen so far. Theo then says Minnie Marie's name as a good backup because she's not going home anytime soon, but she won't get the votes at the ceremony tomorrow, making her a safe murder if Clara gets the shield. Gianna says no though. She's not comfortable doing that right now. Theo stares at Gianna, but she doesn't back down. Brandon asks Gianna who else she would pick, and Gianna says Franco. Theo says no as well, claiming that they just took Gabby from him. He won't let them choose Franco. Gianna then says they have no other good choices apart from maybe Colleen and Winston. Even then, they are more likely to get banished soon anyway. Theo still stands that it should be Minnie Marie, but Gianna still feels it should just be Colleen or Winston. Fee will be their backup kill if Clara gets the shield. She doesn't want to put Minnie Marie in such a vulnerable position as she's just way too emotional. Theo asks Gianna if she's acting as a traitor right now or if she's acting faithful. He reminds her they are here to play a game. Gianna looks at Krista, and Krista says she'll weigh in now to settle this once and for all.